All right, let me ask you a question. How many of you have had a problem? You looked at the problem, you saw it was a problem, you knew it was a problem, but you just put your hands up like this and hoped it went away, right? We've all been there. You've had that happen in your regular life, you've had that happen in your relationships, you've had that happen in business. I know a guy who was it was a it- we he ran a 7-Eleven in Hollywood. And there was a guy that stood outside of at the door and would open the door for customers. And in the beginning, it was cool. He shouldn't have been doing that. He was a little annoying, but that's okay. He didn't harass the customers. He just opened the door. And if people said, "No, I don't have any money for you right now," he was cool, didn't say anything, left everybody alone. But after a few hours of that, all of a sudden, he was not okay with it. All of a sudden, the smile was gone. He went from this to this, and he was threatening. He would curse people out if they didn't give him any money, and the manager was looking at it the whole time. And if he was smart, if he was more of a tough guy, if he was more of a hardcore business person, he would either go out there and tell that guy to get away from his front of his business, or he would have called the police officer, but he didn't want any problems. Now, I lived in that neighborhood at the time. I was living in Hollywood at the time. And back then, Hollywood wasn't what it is now. It was a little bit on the rough side. There was lots of gang members out there, lots of robberies. I mean, there was a good chance of a butt whooping if you walked down the wrong street when I lived in Hollywood at the time. So this was a dangerous place to go. But I lived there, and I came from a tough neighborhood in the beginning. And I think he could pick that up because he started to do the intimidating look, and he looked into me and he was like, "Never mind. You can go get your Slurpee. I'll leave you alone." But when I was in the store getting my Slurpee or my coffee, whatever I was getting, I looked out the door and I would see him intimidating people. And I would see people who were obviously tourists, who were obviously from Iowa, who were obviously just regular nice people, even from Los Angeles, because there's a lot of good people in Los Angeles. Most people in Los Angeles are pretty good. And they would pull up into the 7-Eleven parking lot and they would see this guy and they'd go, and back the heck out. He was losing business because one guy was out front of his business intimidating people, and he should have gotten rid of the guy, should have said something to the guy, but he didn't. He just put his hands up and hoped the problem would go away. It didn't go away. Eventually, the guy did something he shouldn't have done and got arrested. And it could have all been prevented if he didn't throw his hands up. He did what he was supposed to do. He either made a phone call or walked out and told that guy to step off. And it caused him a lot of problems. I want to get into any specifics, but it caused him a lot of problems. Sometimes you see the problem and you know you got to just do something about it, but you don't. I've had it happen to me in a relationship, and good Lord. I was in a relationship that was beautiful at the time. Beautiful. Everything was fantastic and sunshine and roses and all of that crap. And then it started to sour. That particular girlfriend got a new friend who was a little man hatey. And I can understand how she was a little man hatey because some of the guys that she picked to go out with were pieces of crap. But she kept picking pieces of crap. I saw guys that really, really wanted her badly, wanted to be with her, but they were too nice. Oh no, I don't like him. I really need somebody who's a piece of crap that'll be nice to me for 4 months, get it on with me for the entire 4 months, and then move on to someone else really quickly. I need to have a decade or so of that, which is what she had. So she's a charming lady when she's talking to somebody she's not romantically interested in, or she's talking to some or her lady friends, right? If I had met her under different circumstances, we might have been cool. But I was dating her friend, and we were kind of happy. And sometimes some people don't like to be around or see happiness. She was one of them. She started filling my girlfriend at the time's head with all sorts of crap. Hey, at one point I was not an old fat guy. I was young and handsome. Picture that. And in shape. Picture that, right? And I was doing stand-up comedy. And I'm having these great shows and women want to come up to you and they want to hug you and take a picture with you and kiss you on the cheek and stuff like that and never let anything get inappropriate. But she's sitting there going, "Oh, he is, I gotta admit, is a handsome man. He's built well and all that. She's like, yes, he is. He's that. Yeah, look at all these ladies. He's very funny. Yeah, now these ladies are really laughing hard. Yeah, maybe they're laughing a little too hard. Huh? Oh, she's taking the picture with him. Does she have to hug him that long, huh? Does she have to wait a minute? She put her cheek next to his face, even though her husband's right there and it's cool with it. I don't care if her husband's right there and cool with it. I don't care if he actually suggested it. There's something wrong with it. I don't know. I would keep an eye on him. And in the beginning, it was not a problem, not a big deal. But eventually, slowly, eventually, my girlfriend at the time started to stop looking at me like this and started looking at me like this. Anybody who was a lady who walked in my presence, even if they didn't even notice me. They didn't even notice me because they're walking. I'm this way and I'm walking that way. And I'm wise enough not to ogle other women when my lady's around. And quite frankly, if I have a lady, I'm just not interested in anybody else. I don't even ogle her when she's not around. I got my woman. I ain't got time for that crap. But that wasn't good enough. Her friend, who was always around, decided to tell her, because she was always around, she decided to tell her, oh, notice how he didn't look at that girl's butt? He's hiding something. If he was, I mean, he wanted to look at it. The fact that he didn't look at it makes it even more suspicious. The fact that being a good boyfriend makes me more. Yeah, but he's too perfect. Huh? He's too perfect. He's up to something. And I'm watching my girlfriend get angrier and angrier about things that weren't that big of a deal. She didn't like the way I wore a ring on my right hand. And she didn't like the way I wore my watch. She didn't like the way I tied my shoes. She didn't like the way I wore my shirt. She didn't like the way I did. I don't like the way you do that. She hated everything about me at this point. She was looking for reasons to argue. Like I said, some people can't handle happiness. And it got to the point where I didn't even want to come home to my apartment because I knew she'd even be in there. I didn't want to go to her apartment. I didn't want to hang out with her. One time I was going over to her house and we were going to have a romantic evening. We had talked about it being a romantic evening. And if you were in a relationship that has advanced well into the boom, boom, jiggy, boom, the boom, jiggy, jiggy part of the relationship, you know what I mean. A boom. If you get to that point and you know that boom is going to happen and you're happy because boom is going to happen. So you get regularly boom is going to happen. So you show up for a boom, guaranteed night. But you talk to her on the phone and she's already mad. She's mad before you got there. Oh. I remember one time being outside of a girlfriend's apartment. I was going over there. I was about to touch the doorknob. And I stood there for, I don't know, 5, 15 minutes. I don't know. I know it was a long period of time because I was using my left hand to open the door and my hand turned and I saw the watch. And I remember I came up the steps at a certain time and a whole lot of time had gone by. And all of that time was me standing there with my hand by the doorknob. Ooh, I opened the door. I'm hoping, well, and then her friend is there with her, and they turn their heads like synchronized evil. Man, hate him. That's what it was like. Why did she invite a friend over on an evening where I came over there specifically to, you know? And then they blasted me and interrogated me, right? And then this lady's accusing me of stuff that I not only that I did not do, I didn't even think of doing. And my girlfriend at the time is sitting there like, nodding her head like she agrees with this crap, didn't defend me at all when she knew she should have known. She knew she should have known none of that crap was true. At that point, I saw the problem and I should have just walked away. I should have just thrown my hands up and walked away. I should have stepped off and said, I don't need this. We were going fine till she started putting stuff in your head and you believed her and you don't believe me and you've known me longer. You've known me intimately. And what is wrong? But I stayed because I thought I could fix it. Couldn't fix it. Could not fix it. And I spent the next year of my life trying to fix something that was irrevocably, it was just completely destroyed. Imagine somebody setting your car on fire and pushing it off of the Empire State Building onto something and then rolling it through a car crusher, turning it into liquid, and then picking up some wrenches and going, I can fix it because I'd have a better chance of fixing that. I should have stepped off. Back then, the term red flag didn't exist, but it wouldn't have been appropriate because she was more of a red flag factory that was manufacturing for the whole planet. There were people in Bangladesh, people in Africa, people in Australia, people on Mars buying the red flags. That's how many red flags she had. And I spent a year of that. Sometimes when you see a problem, you got to jump right on top of it. Put your hands up and go, I'm not dealing with that, and get out of there. Or you see people that put their hands up and don't want to deal with the problem when they really should. And I should have dealt with the problem. Just like that guy at 7-Eleven, he should have dealt with the problem. But some bad stuff happened and almost ruined his business. And I spent a whole extra year with somebody. I wasted a year with somebody. I could have spent that year healing from the inevitable breakup, the inevitable breakup. That year could have been spent healing from the breakup and then going back to normal. But I delayed my healing by a year because I spent an extra year with somebody I shouldn't have spent a year with. All I'm saying is, man, we see problems. We know we have problems. We know there are problems there. We got to acknowledge them suckers. And sometimes you just got to step off, right? At the age I am now in my 50s, I see red flags as they're being sewn up in the factory. I know the shipping routes. I can see the red flag over there. I don't even get near the red flag. Hell no. Not saying I'm not. I'm saying I have made mistakes. I'm not saying that I didn't get close and go. Oh, I see the red flag. Got to get to stepping. I know that now. So what I'm saying to you, my friends, cats and kitties, dudes and dudettes, when you see the red flag start a popping, it's time to start a hopping. I'm the king of rap. But what I'm saying is, look, man, you know when you see a problem, don't lie to yourself. If there's a problem, step off. Be cool about it, but don't put up with it. You dig? Of course you do. I'm Mr. S. Anthony Thomas. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And make sure you come back because there will be more. Take care.